Okay. Namaskaram. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Srimad Bhima Madhvantargata Ramakrishna Vedavyasatmaka Shri Hayagreevaya Namaha. Namaskaraha Sadbhaktanam. Continuing the tradition of Jnana Karya during Madhva Navami, this Pravachana series in English is arranged to understand more about Shrimadaacharyara charitre, his teachings and relevance to the day and ages. It is an honor and privilege to have Dr. Pratosh A P joining us in this Jnana Karya, which is presented in the form of 8-day Pravachana series named Sumadhva Vijaya and Tattvavada Chintane. On behalf of San Diego Satsangha, I would like to welcome all of you and Dr. Pratosh to start the second day Chintana. Over to you, Dr. Pratosh.
Shall we start?
Yes, please. ನಿಮ್ಮ ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಬರ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. We can't see your video.
ಒಂದು ನಿಮಿಷ.
Perfect.
ಶ್ರೀ ಗುರುಭ್ಯೋ ನಮಃ. ಕಾಂತಾಯ ಕಲ್ಯಾಣ ಗುಣೈಕಧಾಮ್ನೇ ನವದ್ಯುನಾಥ ಪ್ರತಿಮ ಪ್ರಭಾಯ ನಾರಾಯಣಾಯ ಅಖಿಲ ಕಾರಣಾಯ ಶ್ರೀ ಪ್ರಾಣನಾಥಾಯ ನಮಸ್ಕರೋಮಿ. ನಮಸ್ತೆ ಪ್ರಾಣೇಶ ಪ್ರಣದ ವಿಭವಾಯ ವನಿಮಗ ನಮಸ್ವಾಮಿನ್ ರಾಮ ಪ್ರಿಯತಮ ಹನುಮನ್ ಗುರುಗುಣ ನಮಸ್ತುಭ್ಯಂ ಭೀಮ ಪ್ರಬಲತಮ ಕೃಷ್ಣೇಷ್ಟ ಭಗವನ್ ನಮ ಶ್ರೀಮನ್ಮಧ್ವ ಪ್ರದಿಶ ಸದೃಶನ್ನೋ ಜಯ ಜಯ ಆಪಾದಮೌಳಿ ಪರ್ಯಂತಂ ಗುರುಣಾಮಾಕೃತಿಂ ಸ್ಮರೇತ್ ತೇನ ವಿಘ್ನಾಃ ಪ್ರಣಶ್ಯಂತಿ ಸಿದ್ಧ್ಯಂತಿ ಚ ಮನೋರಥಾಃ. ಶ್ರೀ ಗುರುಭ್ಯೋ ನಮಃ. Namaskar to all of you. We will continue from where we were yesterday. Yesterday we were going through the second chapter or second sarga of Sumadhva Vijaya, and specifically we had paused when Vayudeva took an incarnation in the form of Madhva. He's not named Madhva yet. He just took birth in the in the house of Srimadaacharyara Bhatta. That's what we had seen. So continuing from there, and in the same format that we had seen yesterday, so I'll go through the sargas one after the other and take a few important nuggets in between, and then we will continue our discussions. That is what we will do. So the child is born. आविश्यवेश ज्ञानार्थमेव यदभूत असुदेव एषः यद्वासुदेव पदभक्तिरतः सदासौ तद्वासुदेव पदमन्ववदन् सुरेन्द्रास्तातेन यन्निगदितं सुतनामकर्त्रा. So all of you know the boy is named as Vasudeva. Madhyageha Bhatta names his son as Vasudeva. Narayana Panditacharya here makes a very interesting remark that he says the name was approved by all the devatas. Vasudeva padam anvavadan surendraha tatena nigaditam. So all the devatas acknowledge that particular name that was kept to the boy. Now why was that done? Is because the word Vasudeva in Sanskritam can be split as Va Asudeva. The letter Va corresponds to Jnana. Va Gati Gandharayoho is the root. Gati means Jnana in Sanskritam. So Va refers to Jnana. Asudeva is Asu is Prana. Deva is Deva. So Asudeva is Pranadeva. Va is Jnana. So the author says Jnanarthameva yadabhut Asudeva yeshaha. Because this boy or this avatara happened to spread the knowledge. So Asudeva was born because of Va, and that's why the name Vasudeva was aptly chosen by his father, and that was acknowledged by all devatas, is what Narayana Panditacharya says. This is the poetic genius, you see. The boy was named as Vasudeva, so he splits that as Va and Asudeva. And he interpreted that as this is the avatara of Pranadeva, Asudeva, because of for the sake of Dhyana, and that is why the name Vasudeva makes sense. Okay. And there's this another interesting shloka after this. There's one guy who donates a cow, okay, to Madhyageha Bhatta right after the birth. So he says that, oh, there is a boy or there is a child that is born in your home, so use my cow to feed the child. पातुं पयांसि शिशवे किल गोप्रदोस्मै पूर्वालयः स्वसुत सूनुतया प्रजातः निर्वाणहेतुम् अनभिष्टपरात्मविद्यां दानं ध्रुवं फलति पात्रगुणानुकूल्यात्. See, these are the philosophical hidden gems in Sumadhva Vijaya. So there is one guy, Purvalaya. His name is Purvalaya, and this Purvalaya donates cow to Madhyageha Bhatta. Sorry. So Purvalaya donates cow to Madhyageha Bhatta, and what happens is that, see here, okay, the author says the following, that he then will be born as son. So this Purvalaya who donated the cow will be then born as the son of his son. Okay, and then what happens is he obtains jnana or lot of knowledge from Madhvacharya later in his life. स्वसुत सूनुतया प्रजातः निर्वाण हेतुं परात्म विद्याम अलभिष्टा. Okay, so then author makes this observation that danam dhruvam phalati patra gunanukulyat. So if you do a donation or dana in the right patra, sat patra, then that will reflect or get converted into a jnana process. So basically, the author is saying, continuing with our yesterday's discussion, right? He's saying that any satkarma that you do with the right intention, with the Krishnarpana buddhi, will have to ultimately convert into jnana. Nirvana hetu malabhishta paratma vidyam. So why did this happen to this particular person? Is because he did a dana in the hands of the most deserving patra, which is Vayudeva. And because he did that, he had an opportunity to be born as his son's son and obtain jnana directly from Madhvacharya, paratma vidyam nirvana hetu malabhishta, and that jnana led him to moksha. So even micro events or micro karma that we do in terms of giving something someone and all this, if you do it with the correct Krishnarpana buddhi and do it to patras, so that's very important. Danam dhruvam phalati patra gunanukulyat. If you give it to a patra, then none of this happens. You'll have to give it to a patra. If you give it to a patra, then it will definitely get converted into the most precious dhyana that will lead one to moksha, is what the author says. Okay, so moving on. And that particular story that once Vasudeva's mother leaves the child with his sister and goes somewhere, and the sister, not knowing what to do, will make this child eat a lot of horse gram. And when the mother is back, she learns that the child has been fed with horse gram, and she's very upset that something that cannot be digested by a child has been fed to the child. But later to realize that the child has nothing, the child is perfectly all right. Again, Panditacharya says, she became very astonished that how could this happen. Arogyashalini pureva tadapi putre vismeratam upachakama jananya mushya. Right? This Madhyageha Bhatta's wife was very surprised that this could happen. But Panditacharya says this later. No, yasya trilokya janani vishepi pitena vismayapumapa samasta shaktehe. This lady, who is the mother of Vasudeva, is unaware that this child actually could digest poison. So he is referring to the story of Samudra Mathana, where all of us know that Vayurasma Upamathanata, right? Everybody says that the story is that Rudradeva drank poison, which is also true. But before that, the poison was much stronger. And Vayudeva, I mean, this is mentioned in Rigveda, Vayu Rasma Upamatsanagar. So what happens is Vayudeva drinks major portion of it, and then Rudradeva drinks some more of it, is what the story is. So he is referring to that story. Yasya Trilokya Janani Janani Vishepi Pite Na Vismayamapa Samasta Shaktehe. So when this Vayudeva drank a lot of poison during Samudra Mathana, his mother, Trilokya Janani, which is he's referring to Mahalakshmi. So Mahalakshmi did not have any surprise whatsoever because she knew how powerful his son was. But this lady, the poor Madhya Bhatta's wife, does not understand that this is Vayadeva, and she is extremely surprised that this kid can eat a lot of horse gram and then digest it. So that's what the author says. Devadi Sadbhiranupadita Yadarena. Then he describes that all milestones were achieved one after the other. He started talking, then he started crawling, then he started Prag Rinkhanam Swayamata Sthitimesh Chakre. So he started standing on his own on his feet, then he started walking and so on. What's interesting is he says, Vishwasya Cheshtita Maho Yadanugrahena Sarvam Tadasya Pavanasya Vidambanam Hi. Every cheshta or every single movement of every Chetana in this universe happens due to the anugraha of this Vayudeva. And he's demonstrating all these milestones being achieved as a child. Sarvam Tadasya Pavanasya Vidambanam Hi. All of this is nothing but Vidambana. So, what is the word that is to be used in English for Vidambana? You can't say that it's drama, sort of, right? Yeah, Anukarana. So, what is it doing is he's just showing that this is how people will behave. Sarvam Tadasya Pavanasya Vidambanam. He's all the taste of all Chetanas in this universe happens because of his anugraha, this Vayadeva's anugraha. And he is doing all this, Sarvam Tadasya Pavanasya Vidambanam. This is important because uh, throughout his life, Madhvacharya demonstrates a lot of things that normal people do. So this has to be, this is applicable at all those places. Sarvam Tadasya Pavanasya Vidambanam Hi. So Shrimadaacharyara in his Mahabharata Tatpranaya refers to this pramana where Nareshu Janane Naravat Pravrittihi. So if devatas take birth as human beings, they'll have to demonstrate all the qualities of human beings, is what is said, what is prescribed in Shastras. And that's what Bhagavan also does, and following him, Vayadeva also does the same thing, is the idea. Okay, then this sarga ends from this very nice story that Madhya Bhatta had borrowed some loan from a person, and this person, when he came, the child Vasudeva asked his father, why are you so worried? And the father replies by saying, oh, I have taken some loan from this person, and unless I repay it, he's not letting me come home. Then Vasudeva plucks some seeds of tamarind seeds. In fact, if you go to Pajakam, no, they'll show that tree. They say that this is the tree from which it was plucked. So he plucked some tamarind seeds and gave it to that particular person. And labdham suta leelakarena sakarena sukomalena bijantarani kilakaniti dashu tasmai smitva arbhako abhimata nishkapade yadadat adattatani dhaniko bahumana purvam labdham sutan. So he will happily accept those tamarind seeds and go away. Then after some day, Madhya Bhatta goes to this person and tries to return his money. And this person would say, no, I got it from your son. You don't have to give it. Panditacharya says here, Saksha Damanava Navakritassaleve Bijachalena Purushartha Maho Vishishtam. So this guy did not receive some mere tamarind seeds from Vasudeva. Saksha Damanava Krititaha. So he got. So this bija, or rather these seeds, was just a reason, by the Vyaja of just getting bija. So this guy, Saksha Damanava Navakrita from Vayudeva, he got Purushartha, all Purusharthas is what Panditacharya says. So he says, no, you don't have to give anything. And then the sarga ends. Iti viharati mahyam Vishnudasepi gudhe samajati sudananam chittam ananda purnam udayati ghanamana alina bhanau cha bhanau nanu jana nayanabdir labhyatenam vikasaha. So as boy Vasudeva is growing up, all the sajjanas that were there that particular time had a lot of bliss to their mind. And author says that even if the sun is rising, just setting very slowly, everybody around is very happy because they know that after some time the sun is going to be stronger and stronger and give us a lot of light. So that is the idea. And by the way, this is something that is worth knowing. This Mahakavya, Sumadhva Vijaya, is called Anandanka. So in the sense that all sargas contain the last sloka of all sargas contain this particular word called Ananda. So that is why it's called Anandanka. So all the last slokas of all sargas, all 16 sargas has this word Ananda. So I just read that last sloka, right? Samajani Sujananam Chittam Ananda Purnam. So that has that Ananda thing. So this sarga is called, this kavya is called Anandanka. Okay, so thus concludes the second sarga. Then we'll start the third sarga, Tritiya sarga, Athakadachana Sundaranandana Smitamukhendra Drisham Daito Prana Mahamito Nijabantu Mude Muda Prayatu Svajanai Sahadampati. So there is this story that all the family is in some family gathering, so they're all there. Vasudeva realizes that his mother is not paying attention to him, so he just leaves that place. He just leaves that place and goes from one temple to the other. And the parents think that the child is totally lost. They don't spot the child and they go and go in search of child. And after some time, they find the child. Okay. So here the hidden meaning is that don't be in a place where you are completely ignored. And the author says that if there is so here the shloka is Avidushi Jannirisa Balakaha Sharanato Ranato Niraga Nruvihi. So the author says that if there is no Bhagavad Chintana in a particular place and all of them are busy doing what they are doing, don't stay in that place, just leave. So that's exactly what this story narrates. Aisutera Mudahara Tattvato Nanu Samagatavanasi Sampratam, then Madhyakeha Bhatta finds him and he is very happy and all that. That is the story. Then there is this another interesting shloka. Lipikulam nanu tatagate dine likhitameva punarlikhitam kutaha iti nija pratibhaguna bhavitam haripadasya vachas tamanandayat. Now this the child grows out of infancy and the father starts teaching the child reading and writing. Vasudeva says, Father, why are you teaching me the same script that you taught me yesterday? Okay, he does not want to repeat things. Lipikulam nanu tata gate dine likhitam eva punar likhitam kutaha. So if you have seen this, if you have visited this place, Pajaka Kshetra, right? They show that there's a large boulder there. So they say that on this boulder they did this Aksharabhyasa. That's why a lot of us go to Pajaka to do Aksharabhyasa to our children, right? So that was the place. And Vasudeva says, Lipikulam nanu tata gate dine likhitam eva punar likhitam kutaha. Why are you making me write the same letters that you made me write yesterday? Okay. Then father thought, Shishuraso Pratibamudirityam Janamano Vachanam Graha Pidana Nabhavatat. So he thinks, oh, I tend to forget that this child was actually born after I did a long tapasya, and this child was born out of the anugraha of Narayana, and there is no surprise that this child is so talented. Okay, then he thinks that if I start teaching this child in front of everybody, then people start thinking all kinds of things. So let me teach this child in isolation. Vijanasthale Swatanayam Samasikshaya Deshaka. So he started teaching the child in a very isolated place, is what is said. Idamuvacha vichara vichakshanaha shuchivajishtanake aparatha katitam. So there is this another incident that all of you know, that there was one pravachana that was happening in a place and the child is there. The child gets up and complains that the pravachanakara, the orator, is making mistakes. Okay. Then people there will ask, oh, if he is making mistakes, then can you tell what the correct thing is? And this child starts saying what the correct thing is. So that's and the author says that it is that time that people notice that, oh, here is a child that is extraordinarily talented and something good is going to come from this particular child. Okay. Then Vihita sadhana sadhita satkriyo, or समुचित ग्रह योग ज्ञान्वितम समवधार्य मुहूर्त मधुषणम प्रणय बंधुर बांधव बाणसो द्विजकुलाकुलम उत्सव मातनोत. Then Madhyageha Bhatta decides that the child has to be the Upanayana of the child has to be done. And again, author Panditacharya makes this observation that when he was being instructed that, oh, you'll have to do Sandhya Vandana from today, you'll have to do Gurukula Vasa, and so that Sputa Mahasi Sureh Krita Sakshibihi, all the devatas who were seeing this entire scene was laughing because, oh, uh, who is being told? Iti Guru Tajagat Guru Shikshane Sputa Mahasi Sureh Krita Sakshibihi. Now look how Vidambana works. So this guy is teaching the Trailokya Guru Madhvacharya or Vayadeva that you will have to do Sandhya Vandana and all that. And then Vasudeva goes to his Gurukula, and okay, in between that there is this another story that there was a snake, there was an asura that takes the form of a snake, and he was giving a lot of trouble to the villagers, and Vasudeva once jumps from his from atop the hill, that there is that Kunjarugiri hill, right? From there he just jumps and jumps on top of the head of the snake, and the snake is died. And if you go to that Pajaka area, right, they actually show that particular place where the snake was actually killed. Prabhu Padaruna Charu Taranguli Vihirti Pishtatanu Pratatamasaha. Okay, so when Vasudeva jumps from a top hill to this particular place, that snake is killed. Okay, then Vasudeva is sent to Gurukula Vasa. Shitisura Grabhivandana Purakam Savidade Adhyanam Chalamanushaha. Then what happens is Vasudeva is a very bad student. He never attends classes. Okay, he's very irregular and he's not attentive in class and so on. And once his teacher Viharatiti Patatyapina Nasputam Swagruhagamini Chatrutayamiti Paritutosha Natatra Jagadguru Sakila Pugavanan Vainodvijaha Athakarachana Sudhyayanantare Tamavadat Kupito Anya Manasvinam. So once there was a class going on and Vasudeva was not at all attentive. This teacher became very angry and said, Pathasino Shatate Sakibisamam Kimiti Nityam Udasita Diriti. So he says, why are you so reluctant in studying? Oh, aren't you interested? And he's very angry and starts scolding the child. And then look at the child's response. Gunanika Charanarika Gochara Navabahruddhaita Iti Udite Muna. So when one is doing Vedadhyana, right, the typical process is made to the student is made to repeat that multiple times over a week, and this is how the tradition of Vedadhyana was preserved. So what happens is if you say it, let's say hundreds of times in different forms, you cut it, say it 10 times, you say the mantra completely 10 times, you say it, you say the Padapatha 10 times and so on, then the mantra gets memorized. That is how typical Vedadhyana is done. Vasudeva says that I don't like this. You ask me to repeat the same thing hundreds of times. Gunanika Charanarika Gochara Namaba Hruddayita. I don't like this at all, as Vasudeva says. And this teacher becomes angrier listening to this. He says, oh, you speak as if you are a great scholar. Then do one thing. Tell me anything, tell me something from things that I have not taught you so far. Gunanika Charanarika Gochara Namama Hruddayita iti udite muna Vada Visharadavadayate Psitam Tvam Upari iti Avadad Dharani Sura. He says, okay, Visharadavada. He calls Vasudeva as Visharadavada, which is someone who talks like a scholar. And so you speak like a scholar and do one thing. tell me something that I have not taught so far. So then, this is a fantastic shloka. Panditacharya says, Sakala Lakshana Shikshana Mula Bhuhu Shruti Samanamanam Skhalnojitam Nakhalu Kevalamasya Gurur Vedhat Sumanasamapi Tatra Kutuhalam. So Acharya starts saying things that has not been taught, okay, when he was a boy, and he started saying it with all lakshanas. So whatever there are these shat vikritis of Veda, right? Padapata, Kramapata, Jatapata, Ghanapata, and all this. He starts saying with all those vikritis, he starts chanting these mantras that has not been taught without an iota of Skalitya. Okay, this thing did not only surprise that particular guru, but it also surprised Devatas, the author says. So Devatas should not be surprised because they know that he is Mahadeva, but still, the kind of chanting that he did, even Devatas were very surprised, is what Panditacharya says. And then साक्षात् अथोपनिषदो विभयथरेयाः पाठच्छलेन विजने अर्थरसं ब्रुवाणः अध्यापकाय विततार विमोक्षबीजं गोविन्दभक्तिमुचितां गुरुदक्षिणां सः. After his Gurukula Vasa, he takes this teacher to a private place, and Vasudeva teaches this guru the Aitareya Upanishad. Vijane Artharasam Bruvanaha Adhyapakaya Vitatara Vimoksha Bijam. So Guru Dakshina has to be given. What is the Guru Dakshina that Vasudeva gave to his guru? Govinda Bhakti Muchitam Guru Dakshinam Saha. Vimoksha Bijam Govinda Bhaktim. By talking about Aitareya Upanishad, the Guru Dakshina that was given to this teacher was Govinda Bhakti. So he gave the Bhakti, Vishnu Bhakti itself as a Dakshina to his guru. This Vishnu Bhakti is the one that leads everybody to moksha. So this guru received the greatest Guru Dakshina, which is the Vishnu Bhakti. So look at the pattern here, right? Whoever came in touch with Vasudeva, so be it that person who donated the cow, or be it this person who received some tamarind seeds from Vasudeva, or be it this guru who taught him something or apparently taught him something, all these people, they were repaid back, okay, with the biggest asset that can exist, which is jnana and bhakti. So the hidden meaning is that whoever comes in touch with Madhvacharya, right, in whatever minuscule form, are always blessed with jnana and bhakti, is the idea. Aiswamin dustan damaya spashtam achirat gunan gudhan vishtoh kathaya swan pramadayan tadanandam tanvanniti sumarasam sonusaratam anupnyam adatta tribhuna guruhu brahmana guruhu. This is the last sloka of third sarga. So I don't know if you notice this. Tada anandam tanvanniti sumarasam. So there is this anandanka again. The third sarga also has this ananda. It says that this guru, after realizing that this child is an extraordinary child, makes a prarthana to Vasudeva and tells him that, see, we have lost a lot of knowledge. When you grow up, please spread the right knowledge amongst all sajjanas. So this guru makes that particular prarthana, is what this shloka says. And इति श्रीमत्कविकुलतिलक श्रीमद्त्रिपुरपण्डितासो नारायणपण्डिताचार्य विरचिते श्रीसुमध्व विजय महाकाव्य आनंदांके तृतीय सर्गः. So that ends the third sarga. Then we enter the fourth sarga. अथैष सल्लोकदया सुदार्दया सदागमस्ते निरासकामया रमावरावास भुवा विशारदो विशालया चिन्तयद आत्मनोधिया. So the Vasudeva is now about 7-8 years. He starts thinking about this. He thinks, now the purpose of my avatara is to spread knowledge. Okay. Then he says, I'll have to do two things. Actually, I'll have to do Dushta Nigraha and then Shishta Rakshana through knowledge creation. Now, I cannot do Dushta Sikshana because he says, Hariswasanan Vachira Rasadvide Bhavet. It is told that the end of Kali Yuga, right, just before the Kalki Avatara happens, there is a Durga Avatara that is told, that is said that will happen. So, Durga will come and destroy all asajjanas. So Acharya thinks that I am not ato bhavedato nasmita dandadharakaha. Yes, I will not physically start destroying asajjanas because this is not the time. I will not do that. what I should do is I'll have to now do only the Jnana Karya in this particular avatara. That is why the only way to do it full time is by taking sannyasa. So he says, okay, let me take sannyasa. And then one interesting thing happens, that asau anujñartham mata anabadharim samasta samvyapinam atmadayakam. So since he decides that he'll have to take sannyasa, he goes and starts doing namaskara to every object that is there in his home. Samasta Samvyapinam Atmadayakam. He starts doing namaskara to all objects, no animate, inanimate, everything. Nije jane kim namasiti pruchati bruvan savastu pranatim vyathamiti. So people around him ask, oh, why are you doing this? So his response was that I am doing namaskara to things that belong to me. So that is how it apparently sees. Bruvan swavastu pranatim vyathamiti. I am doing namaskara to my vastu, swavastu. But the hidden interpretation is samasta samvyapinam atmadayakam. So he knew that Srihari exists everywhere, and he is doing that namaskara to ensure that he takes sort of permission, he seeks permission from the antaryami that exists in all objects. So that is why he is doing Guroh kilanveshanavan jagat guru tada jagama akhila loka shikshakaha. So then he thinks, okay, I'll have to take sannyasa. Let me see which guru that I have to go to. And then the story of Shri Achyuta Prajna or Atita Preksha starts. Yatiri yatatma bhuvi kaschana bhavat vibhushano bhuri virakti bhushanaha na nama matrat shuchim arthatopiyam jana Achyuta Preksha udaharat sputam. So there was this one yati by name Achyuta Preksha. And Panditacharya makes this observation that this Achyuta Preksha yati pura yeshaha krishnakra siddha shuddhimad varanna bhutya kila pandavalaye vishodhitatma madhukrut pravrittiman chatara kanchit parivatsaran muda. So this Jiva Achyuta Preksha Acharya, he was a sannyasi in the times of the kingdom of Pandavas. Okay, and when he was taking bhikshas, a few days he had consumed bhiksha from the hands of Draupadi. And Panditacharya says that it is because of this particular Sukrita or Punya that he could that Vasudeva or Vayudeva, when he came in Kali times, he went and sought sannyasa from that person. Vishodhitatma madhukur pravrittivan chitara kanchit parivatsaran muda. Again, the message is that the food that you consume has to be so good that the better, I mean, even the Brihadaranyaka says the same thing. The better your food is, the Saha is what the Upanishad says. Oh, Annam Vibhaktam Tredha, Annam Bhuktam Tredha Vibhajyate, all of you know that, right? One Sukshma part of the food actually gets converted into our mind, and it has a direct impact of how we think and what we do. So because this person had Bhiksha from the hands of Draupadi, that he could have a Shishya like Madhvacharya. Okay, so there is a backstory to this Achyuta Preksha. So Achyuta Preksha was also very confused about the knowledge, and he asks his guru during the death time of his guru that, oh, I'm not getting anything, so what do I do? Then this guru of Achyuta Preksha says that do one thing, just go and do a seva of Bhagavan, okay, who is in Rupya Pitha. And by the way, in Udupi, the Krishna temple is just a second. Excuse me. So in Udupi, the Krishna temple is constructed and the idol is installed by Madhvacharya later. But the Ananteshwara temple that you see there, right, is the one that was more ancient than the Krishna temple. And there are two temples, right? There are actually three. One is the Ananteshwara temple, the other is the Chandramoulishwara temple, and the third is the Krishna temple. This Ananteshwara temple, even though it looks like a Shivalinga, there are enough number of pramanas to say that it is Vishnu that is there in the form of linga there. Okay, so the seva that Madhyageha Bhatta and his wife does for 12 years is in that Anantasana temple. Ananteshwara temple that we see today. And Achyuta Preksha was also instructed by his guru to go and do a seva. Asevata alocya muhurgrorgiram sarupya peethalayam indiravaram. Subhaktinatena sabhaktavatsaro nishevetastatra parambhutsuna. Bhavishyata Shishyavaradhi Vidhimam iti Pravishta Purusham Tamabhyadat. Once what happens is, Lord speaks through a particular person and instructs as a preksha that you are looking for knowledge. The knowledge that you are looking for, you will obtain that from your own student that you will encounter later in life. So after Bhagavan says that, gives that indication, Achyuta Preksha is waiting for this particular Shishya. Pratikshamanam tavanugraham muda nishevanam budhevamanam punaram budhekshanam sadam guru karunamanushakrihi yatim prashantam tamupasasasada. While Achyuta Preksha is waiting for this this particular Shishya, Vasudeva approaches him and asks for sannyasa. Chayacharam vakya mudidatavidam paritya putra natim vitenu. Okay, so then there is this interesting episode that happens, that parents get to know that this child is after sannyasa, and father comes to this child is now full time in this particular matha. Father comes to this child and begs him not to take sannyasa and does a namaskara to this particular child, saying that, oh, please don't take sannyasa. He does a namaskara. Sayachanam vakya mudiryadavidam paritya putraya natim vitenatuhu. And Vasudeva uses that as an opportunity and says that, see, natirna shushrujyanaya heshyate natam bhavadvyam sputamatra sampratam. Elders should not bow to youngers. This is not something that is there. Now that you have done this, I think the Lord himself has given me permission to take sannyasa. So, aho vidhatra swayameva dapita tatabhinukniyati jagada saprabhu. Then the father could not give any, could not talk back, and says that if you take sannyasa, then I will fast on to death and all that. And what Vasudeva does is, he is wearing a dhoti. He just tears that dhoti and puts it as a kaupina and says that, now do whatever you want to do because I've taken sannyasa right now. Okay. Then he could not do anything and he comes back and then thinks for some time and comes back again to Vasudeva and says that, see, I have studied a lot of shastras. I can somehow tolerate all this, but your mother can never tolerate what you are doing. Bahushrutatvat yadi tatsahe balat nasa savitri viraham sahetate iti dvijena abhitena vatsatam bhavan anugnyam pradachit bruvam. Then the conversation becomes a little matured and Vasudeva says, okay, I understand. You give me permission, I will talk to my mother. Okay. So then he could not speak back and he says, okay. I mean, tathastu mata anuvadedaditam. If your mother says okay, I'm okay with it. Okay. Then with a lot of difficulty, he says yes, comes back home and talks about this entire thing with his wife. And he also says that nivartamane nahi palakoschino. He says, with a lot of difficulty, we have gotten you as son. We don't have anybody to look after us. So when, in fact, this is said in Dharma Shastra, a single child cannot take sannyasa when the parents are alive. Okay, so you are the single child and you cannot take sannyasa, we are alive, so what are you doing? So he says, don't worry, I will not leave you without a protector. Nivartamane nahi palakoschino asankahinopi parivrajami mam ahantu shushrushumakalpayaniti. I will not leave without having somebody who would protect you. And it is this time that Nishacharare Lakshmanah Pura Vrkodaraseva Surendra Nandana Gadotha Shauri Riva Karmakat Priyaha Subhaktiman Vishwavido Anujo Bhavata. And they will have another child. Okay, so Panditacharya says, just like Sri Rama had Lakshmana, Bhimasena had Arjuna, Krishna had Gada. A very good soul that has a lot of bhakti was born as a brother to Madhvacharya or Vasudeva, and it is this person who will go on to become Vishnu Tirtha later. Okay, who is the Mula Purusha of today's Sode Parampara and the Subramanya Parampara. We'll see that later when we come there. So another child is born and parents are happy that we don't that we have some protector. Even despite all this, mothers are mothers, and she does not want to let his son take sannyasa. And she comes and says that you should not take sannyasa and all that. You know what Vasudeva does? He says, Varashrama mama samvadasva mam kadachidapyam yadikchadikshitum yadanyatha deshamimam parityatan najatu drishter vishayo bhamavimaha. He says, if you let me take sannyasa, then I will come and see you whenever I have time. If you don't let me take sannyasa, I will leave this place and go somewhere that you cannot see me any time in your life anymore. Okay. Once Vasudeva says this, the mother thinks that it's better to see him as a sannyasi than not seeing him at all. So then she says yes to this. Now, this entire story, when I studied it very long back, right, when I was 10 years old or something, it always had this question, I always got this question that what is this the right way to deal with the situation, right? So this actually looks like blackmailing, right? So who would do that? So now then, after now I'm 35 and now I realize how the world works. And now I have a both societal and philosophical angle to it, right? See, look at this. Yada virakta, the Panditacharya himself says, Yada virakta purusha pradayate, tadeva sannyasa vidhi shrutau shrutaha. You have to look at your purpose. Okay, you'll have to look at the larger purpose that has to be served. And even if your dearest relatives come in the way of serving this larger purpose, you'll have to do whatever it takes to ensure that the larger purpose is served, larger dharmic purpose is served. Okay, so then the next question is, why couldn't he sit down and convince his mother and then go, right? Sometimes what happens is, not sometimes, a lot of times what happens is, convinces when the matter becomes matter starts operating at an emotional level, above the intellectual level, no amount of convincing would do, right? But you'll have to ensure that the job has to be done. Okay, then in fact this is said in Dharma Shastra. So you can use Samadhana, Bheda Danda, all four ways of operation to ensure that the bigger dharma is done, as long as it is not harming that particular person beyond making some emotional dent. This is exactly what Dharma Shastra says. Even if it creates some emotional loading on to a person that you consider dear to your heart, for the sake of bigger good, okay, or larger dharma, one can resort to all the four upayas of Sama, Bheda, Danda, and Dana to ensure that one is after the bigger dharmic good. This is what Dharma Shastra says. That's exactly what Vasudeva showed us by doing this. Okay, you can scare away people. You can scare. See, nothing happened actually. The mother was happy after that and all that. But for that particular moment, you can use whatever works to ensure that the larger dharma is served. Okay, that is the lesson. See, a lot of times it happens, right? All of our lives. As I said, now I'm 35 and now I realize I see this every day. When you encounter with people, especially your children and parents and so on, at times, but the thing is, you will have to be completely convinced in your mind that you are doing this for the sake of larger dharma. You should not resort to these methods for personal benefits. Okay, so that is between only us and the Lord and Yamadeva that is looking at it. Look, if we are convinced that we are doing this for the larger dharma, we can go ahead and do those things, even at the cost of making the other person momentarily unhappy. Is the lesson that we should learn from this entire episode. Is my reading of it. Okay. So then comes this auspicious moment. सदा अथोपगम्येश गुरुं जगद्गुरुः प्रसाद्यतं देववर प्रसादितः सदा समस्ताश्रमभाग सुरेश्वरः विशेषतः खलु अभजत् वराश्रमम् अनन्तमात्रान्तमुदाहरन्तीयं त्रिमात्रपूर्वं प्रणवोच्चयं बुधाः तदा भवद्भाविचतुर्मुखाकृतिः जपाधिकारी यतिरस्य सूचिसः. So he takes sannyasa. गुणानुरूपोन्नति पूर्णबोधः इति अमुष्य नाम द्विजवृन्दवन्दितः उदाहरत् भूरि यशाहि केवलं न मन्त्रवर्णः स च मन्त्रवर्णकः. So this new sannyasi was named as Purna Bodha. So Shrimadaacharyara's sannyasa name is Purna Bodha. So he was named as Purna Bodha. Author says that Achyuta Preksha chose a name that is in accordance with the Vedic name. So if you look at there is one sukta in Rigveda, right? It is called the Balitha Sukta. And it is said that the three avatars of Vayu has been described in Balitha Sukta. It goes as Balitha Tadvapushe Dayadarashatam, right? We chant it every day. So there, Tritiyamasya Rishabasya Dohase Dashaparamatin Janayanta is what Veda says. So the third incarnation of Vayu is called Dashapramati. That is, this is the word that is used in Veda, Dashapramati. Dasheti Purnamuddishtam. So Dasha, the number 10, relates to completeness, because in the base 10 system, right, 10 is the number that is complete. You start counting from 1 and 10 becomes complete. So in fact, there is a small anecdote, right, that I would like to share with you. See, this word 10, right? So it is said in Shastras that the word 10 refers to complete, right, or Purna. I was wondering, why is 10 Purna, right? I mean, just because there is Dashapramati, you just said that it is Purna. In Mysore, where I actually grew up, when I was going somewhere one day, I saw a board. I think most of you understand Kannada here, right? So there was this board which goes like this. It was actually a gym. Okay, colloquially gyms are called garadi. You know that, no? Garadi. So it was written, garadi mane or garadi, right? It was actually, the board was Hattu Janara Garadi. Okay. So then I went and asked this person, right, why have you written Hattu Janara Garadi? So he said that Hattu Jana means everyone. So it was written as Hattu Janara Garadi, which means this is a Garadi, or this is a gym that belongs to everybody. It's an open and free gym. So Hattu Janara Garadi. Then I said, oh, okay, fine. Even colloquially, this word 10 is used to refer to everyone, or Purna. Right? So Dashayati Purna Muddishtam. So this is something that happened when I was young and I saw this. So Dashapramati is the word that is referred in Veda, and Dasha is Purna, Pramati is again knowledge, Dasha Pramati is Purna Prajna or Purna knowledge, and that is the name that Achyuta Prajna chose to name his student after, right? Purna Bodha. So Gunanurupo Nati Purna Bodha iti. So Panditacharya says that the name that was chosen was acknowledged even by Vedas by saying Dasha Pramati. Right? So the thing is, most likely, Achyuta Preksha did not look at Balita Sukta and realize that this was Vaideva's avtara, and then named him Purna Bodha retrospectively. It is not that which happened. He serendipitously named this Vasudeva as Purna Bodha. And that was in accordance. That is how it should happen, right? Because if Veda says so, that is how it should happen. So he was given this prerana to name him as Purna Bodha. Okay. Bhujanga Bhutesha Vihangapanikaihi Pravanditas Savarasa Pratikshanahi Nanama Soyam Gurupurvakanyatin Aho Mahiyo Mahatam Vidambanam. So then he starts doing namaskara to all his paramparayatis and all that. Again, Panditacharya says, look at the Vidambana of Vayadeva. He's the one who is preceded by Bhujanga Bhutesha Vihangapa, right? The Garudashesha Rudra, all these people do namaskaras to Vayadeva, while he is doing namaskara to some Manishyayatis. Look at the level at which Devatas do Vidambana is what he says. Okay, then, Then there's this interesting incident that happened that Purna Bodha. So note that the name Madhvacharya has not yet appeared. It's not given by anybody. And the other name that is used for Acharya, right, Ananda Tirtha, is not yet there. Now he is Purna Bodha. Okay. The Purna Prajna or the Purna Bodhayati decides that he'll go to Ganga. Yasati Swastati Muhurmuhu Namartyanujñarthati Bhuri Tetasi. Tamasmarat Swaminameva Dunadhihi Gurur Bhavishyat Virahagni Shankaya. So he seeks permission from Achyuta Prajna to go to Ganga. Okay, but Achyuta Prajna does not want him to go to Ganga because he is too attached to his Shishya. So then what happens is that Itas Tatiye Divase Junim Naga Tvadartham Asmakam Tatakam Avrajet Ato Naya Istam Tadavadat Pravishya Kanchit Karuna Karu Harihi. What happens is Srihari gives an indication that from today, in the third day from today, Ganga will actually come and puts her Sanidhana in your own pond. So don't go, is what is told to Purna Prajna. So it is this pond that is referred to here is the one that is called today as Madhva Sarovara. Okay, so that is why, right? He तदाज्ञया उपागत जाह्नवी जले जनोत्रसस्तो सह पूर्ण बुद्धिना ततः परम द्वादश वत्सरांतरे तत् सदा व्रजेत सा तदनुग्रहांकिनी. So to to mark this particular incident, it was also indicated that the Ganga will come to that particular pond once every 12 years. So even today, that particular day is noted. I actually don't know when it happens, but once in 12 years, that particular day is noted. And they say that the Ganga Sanidhana is there this particular day, and the tradition is still continuing in Udupi. Okay, then Guru Swashishyam Chaturam Chikirshtaha Prachodanat Shrotumihopachakrame Atha Ishta Siddhi Atheshta Siddhi Chalajati Varidhi Diradarena Mahatmanamun. Interestingly, then this new sannyasi has to be educated well. Achyuta Prajna starts educating him with the Advaita Granthas. So there is one Grantha called Ishta Siddhi. Achyuta Prajna starts teaching him Ishta Siddhi because that was the parampara, right, in which he took sannyasa. So he starts doing it. Tadadya Padjastam Avadya Mandalam Yadavada Chorashakadvayatmakam Upariyapastam Seti Purvatyaso Guru Tamuche Pranigadyatamiti. Now, Madhvacharya does not let his teacher teach him at all. So, in the very first shloka, Purnabodha shows 32 problems in that very first shloka of that Grantha. Says, this is not correct, how is this happening, how is this happening? Achyuta Prajna is very angry. He says, Bhavat Pravattatta Samarthata Name Sakopa Mitham Taditi Pratishware. So he says, I am not capable of teaching you, you are too intelligent. Okay. And walks away. When this happens, people who see this start realizing that, oh, okay, maybe. So, apiha maya pataye samonrana babhuva dushana samshaya ankuraha. People started getting doubts. Samshaya ankuraha. The sprouts of samshaya started coming in. People started, oh, why is this guy showing so many problems with a grantha that we rever so much? Okay, so the samshaya ankura was the sprouts of dushana was inflicted in the minds of people, is what the author says. The next sloka is very, very interesting. Buddho abhidanam shravanam budhetaro dhruvam vidadhyat vimoksharatmanaha yatir visheshachiti lokachodanat pravakti maya samayam sma purnadihi. Purna Prajna himself starts doing a pravachana of Mayavada. Pravakti maya samayam sma purnadihi. Why does he do? He shows that somebody who knows has to do pravachana, and somebody who is seeking has to listen to pravachanas, and this is one sure short way towards moksha. To demonstrate this, he starts doing pravachana. Pravachana of what? Whatever was that day's siddhanta, which is maya samaya. Okay, and people had come there, gathered in large numbers to understand Mayavada and so that and all that. Okay, so this fourth sarga stops from this fantastic story that once there was a debate on Bhagavata that was happening, and a lot of people there started saying Bhagavata in different ways, and Acharya says that this is not the correct way of chanting Bhagavata, and he comes up with a particular way of saying Bhagavata. And then people there say, so how do you know that this is the correct way? And he says this is the way in which Vyasadeva or Vedavyasa has composed Bhagavata. And people question him, oh, Paraprakareshu api sambhavachute virnayosmin kathamityudhirite. How are you so sure that this is the particular way? He says, there is one book that is there, one old book in this particular rack. Go and see there. You will find this particular patha in that particular book. Ashesha Shishesha Sadagnya Tada Parikshanayeshi Samasta Pustakam. Satatra Haitayakatame Stitam Titan Natavad Adhyanikaya Madhyada. So there was only one book that was there somewhere where this particular recitation, what Acharya said, was present in that particular book. And everybody was very surprised. Achyuta Preksha asks him, Atra Janmani Nayat Patitante Jaitra Bhati Kathamityamanokte Purva Janmasu Hivedas Puredam Sarvamityamita Buddhirvacha. Achyuta Preksha says, I have not taught you all of this. As far as I know, you have not studied this anywhere. How do you know all this? Acharya says, Purva Janma Suhiveda Puredam. I know all this from my previous birth. Is what Acharya says. इति बहुविध विश्वाश्चर्य चित्त प्रवृत्तेः जगति विदति मापद नूतनाप्यस्य कीर्तिः क्षपित तत तमस्का भास्करैव प्रबादं सुचन कुमुद वृंदानंददा चंद्रिकेवा. So again you see this ananda here. Okay, then this completes the fourth sarga, and fifth sarga starts from this. Can I take 5 more minutes? There's a
Yes, please go ahead.
stop.
Please.
Okay.
Should be okay.
वेदांत विद्या निजराज्य पालने संकल्प्यमानो गुरुणागरीयसी अदभ्रचेता अभिषिच्यते पुरा स वारिभिः वारिजपूरितैरता आनंद रूपस्य परस्य पात्रधीः आनंद संदाय सुचास्त्रकृत्ययत् आनंद तीर्थेति पदम गुरुदितं बभूव तस्य अति अनुरूप रूपकम्. Okay, so the tradition is the following. So there is this ceremony called sannyasa diksha, okay, where in fact the chaturthashrama, right, sannyasa is taken by a person, it is not given by anybody. So what is given is the pranavopadesha. So the parampara has this, all these sannyasis have to chant this pranava mantra, which is the omkara, at least 3000 times a day. So in tradition, even today, traditional sannyasis do that. You know, if you see, they take baths thrice a day and they do this pranava japa, right? So pranava mantra upadesha is, or rather the upadesha is what is to be given by somebody. Sannyasa is not given by anybody, it is just taken. It is the last ashrama that a person will decide to take upon. Okay. And when the pranava mantra upadesha is given, a name is also given. That is where this Purna Bodha name is given. So there is another ceremony that is done, which is called the Vedanta Samrajya Pattabhisheka. So basically, there are multiple types of sannyasis that is said in Bhagavata, right? Kutichaka, Bahudaka, Paramahamsa, Hamsa, and all this. There is one sannyasa called Raja Sannyasa, okay, which is that these sannyasis have a responsibility that they have to protect the parampara of Vedanta. Okay, in this particular tradition of sannyasa, they are made the kings, okay, of the Vedanta Samarajya. And there is another ceremony that is done, which is called the Vedanta Samrajya Pattabhisheka, where another name is given to this particular person, okay, which denotes that parampara of Vedanta Samrajya. And you might have noticed, right, they do this this Abhisheka of a Saligrama by keeping that Saligrama on the head of this new sannyasi. You might have seen this, right? So that is the Vedanta Samrajya Abhisheka ceremony. Today they do both together and they give one name for both. But for Acharya, it was done in 2 different occasions, and his sannyasa name was Purna Bodha and his Vedanta Samrajya name was Ananda Tirtha. अदभ्रचेता अभिषिच्यते पुरा स वारिभिः वारिजपूरितैरथा आनन्दरूपस्य परस्य पातध्रीः आनन्दसन्दाय सुचासु शास्त्रकृत्ययत् आनन्दतीर्थेति पदं गुरूदितं बभूव तस्य अति अनुरूप रूपकम्. So he is named as Ananda Tirtha. And author says, why was he named as Ananda Tirtha? Tirtha refers to Shastra. Okay. Anandakaram Tirtham Yena or Yasya Saha Ananda Tirtha. So whose Shastra leads us to the Ananda, which is the Lokika Ananda and also the Moksha Ananda. Someone whose Tirtha or Shastra leads to Ananda is called Ananda Tirtha. Okay, author says, Anandasya Anuru Ananda Sandai Sushastra Krit Sayat. So it is because that he constructs Shastra that creates, that gives a lot of Ananda to everyone who studies it. This name, Ananda Tirtha, was very aptly chosen for him, is what author says. Ananda Tirtha iti padam guruditam bubhuva tasya ati anurupa rupakam. The other thing is Ananda Rupasya Parasya Patradhihi. Tirtha also means vessel. Ananda Tirtha. So one, he is a container of Ananda. Ananda is Vishnu. One he contains Vishnu in his heart is also Ananda Tirtha. The other thing is whose Shastra gives us Ananda. That's why he's called Ananda Tirtha. Ananda Rupasya Parasya Patradhihi. Ananda Sandai Sushastra Krit. Tasmat Ananda Tirtheti Padam Guruditam Babhuva Tasya Ati Anurupa Rupakam. That's why the name that was chosen by Achyuta Prajna, which is Ananda Tirtha, is very aptly chosen for this particular Vaideva's Avatara, because his whole purpose is to create Shastra that gives a lot of Ananda. I think this is a nice place to stop. because yesterday he was born and today he was named as Ananda Tirtha, and tomorrow he'll start composing his Anandadayi Shastra. But we are running a little slow. Okay, let me just do the Antima Mangala. Matprerakena Harina, Ya Puja Swasyakarita, Vagyatna Rupa Lakshmi Shaha, Taya Prinatu Keshava, Madhvesha Krishna Pranamstu. So we are still in Sarga 5. So my goal was 4 Sargas a day, but yeah, so we always overestimate how much can we cover. So I was just wondering, right? Can we extend this Madhva Vijaya series by one more day? I mean, if we have to complete all 16.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we can stop at wherever we are at day 4 and then go to the other topics at.
We are flexible with this. I don't think that is. We want to still
You
keep.
tell me,
We still want to keep a good couple of days for Tattvavada Chintane, and especially the questions that are coming in. I think they are very loaded. Each of these questions would very well take 15 to 20 minutes at least, in my estimation. But that is something for you.
No, I leave it to you. You decide and let me know. So there is a group that we have created, right? Whatever works, we will do it.
We will let's discuss. Yes.
Okay.
We can be
okay. See you tomorrow.
Okay.
Namaste.
Just like yesterday, today we'll be concluding with Pranadevara Nama. Neha Purohit will present it today. Neha.
Namaskara. Am I audible?
Very clear.
ಇಕ್ಕೋ ನೋಡಿರೆ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಹನುಮಂತ, ಇಕ್ಕೋ ನೋಡಿರೆ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಹನುಮಂತ, ಇಕ್ಕೋ ನೋಡಿರೆ ನಿ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಹನುಮಂತ, ಭಕ್ತಿ ಕೊಡುವಂತ ಭಾರತಿ ಕಾಂತ, ಇಕ್ಕೋ ನೋಡಿರೆ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಹನುಮಂತ. ರಾಮದೂತನೇ ಬಹುಶೂರನೀತ, ರಾಮದೂತನೇ ಬಹುಶೂರನೀತ, ರಾಮಚಂದ್ರಗಾಗಿ ಜಲದಿ ದಾಟಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಸೀತೆಗೆ ಉಂಗುರುವನಿತ್ತ ಮಹಾನುಭಾವ. ಇಕ್ಕೋ ನೋಡಿರೆ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಹನುಮಂತ, ಇಕ್ಕೋ ನೋಡಿರೆ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಹನುಮಂತ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೇಳಿರೆ ವಲ್ಲಭನ ಮಹಿಮೆ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೇಳಿರೆ ವಲ್ಲಭನ ಮಹಿಮೆ. ಕಲ್ಲನಯನ ಪಾಲ ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸಿದ ಲೋಲ, ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಗುಣಶೀಲ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹಳ ಪ್ರಬಲ. ಇಕ್ಕೋ ನೋಡಿರೆ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಹನುಮಂತ, ಇಕ್ಕೋ ನೋಡಿರೆ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಹನುಮಂತ. ಅಪಾರ ಮಹಿಮಾ ಬಹುಶೂರನೀತ, ಅಪಾರ ಮಹಿಮಾ ಬಹುಶೂರನೀತ. ಅಂಜನೆಯ ಕಂದ ಸಂಜೀವನಿಯ ತಂದ, ನರಸಿಂಹದೂತ ನಮ್ಮ ಪೊರೆವದಾತ. ಇಕ್ಕೋ ನೋಡಿರೆ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಹನುಮಂತ, ಇಕ್ಕೋ ನೋಡಿರೆ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಹನುಮಂತ, ಇಕ್ಕೋ ನೋಡಿರೆ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಹನುಮಂತ, ಭಕ್ತಿ ಕೊಡುವಂತ ಭಾರತಿ ಕಾಂತ. ಇಕ್ಕೋ ನೋಡಿರೆ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಹನುಮಂತ. ಹರೇ ಶ್ರೀನಿವಾಸ.
So this concludes day 2 of our Pravachana series, and thank you Pratosh Acharya and Neha and Sari for presenting the Pranadevara Nama. So see you all tomorrow again for day 3.
Namaste.
ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
Praise the Lord.